that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
So this is for sure. The Most High speaking, his word do not come back to him void. This is Abram right now, sleep, having a vision.
And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Be afflicted 400 years. All right.
Verse 14. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance.
Come out with great substance. It's always been that way. It happened in Babylon, it happened in Egypt. Every time we got out of there, we had some things come along with us. Where there was more servants that feared the Most High as well, they came with us. Right. No, we was a light to them. They seen the power of our God, and they was down with it. You can't fight against that.
Also, the back of Acts 7 and 6 say the same exact thing. Okay, so go ahead.
All right. Verse 15. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age.
All right, that's it. Jasher. Now we read out the book of Jasher. The first 5 books of the Bible it's a summary. Moses was on a mountaintop for 40 days. It don't take 40 days for the Most High to utter 10 commandments. So he was giving a rundown of the whole world.
Right.
Moses wasn't in the garden.
Most High 40 days.
Was in the garden.
10 commandments. But that's in second Ezra. When you speak of in second Ezra chapter 14, verse 4 through 6, where the Most High told Ezra that when I had Moses with me on the mountain, I showed him the beginning of the times and the end of it. That's in the Apostles, second Ezra 14, verses 4 through 6. That's what he's talking about. It was more than just 10 commandments that came off the Mount Sinai. The history of the world from the beginning. Moses wasn't in the Garden of Eden, so that's because you'll get there. Well, how did Moses write about the Garden of Eden and he wasn't there? How was the author younger than the story? And then you can scratch and think of the Bible telling you. Knowing the Bible tell you how it happened. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't talking about what man did, we're talking about what spirit was on man. That's right. That's what it was. The Most High put the spirit on Moses and he showed him the beginning from the end.
Second Ezra 14,
14 verse 4 through 6.
14, 6.
Yeah.
All right, also the book of Jasher is mentioned in the book of Joshua, chapter 10, verse 13, and 2 Samuel 1, verse 18.
Right. Where you going there?
63.
Joshua 63.
Right. Verse 6.
Whenever y'all looking for that book of Jasher, like I said, mentioned in the scriptures to use it, Amazon.com, you know, they have it out there as well. You know, you got to work out right there. You'll see it, and like I say, we'll use books outside of the Bible as long as they keep the commandments of the Most High.
Absolutely.
You know, so we want to be clear on that if any of those violate any of those laws, statutes, and judgments, you know, we don't use them. Just like you may hear the people of Quran, the Muslim doctrine. Right. They try to put Muhammad in Deuteronomy 18 as that prophet. Right. If they even understood starting out that the book of Deuteronomy means copy of the law. So who did he give his laws to? He didn't give a copy of the law to Ishmael.
Exactly.
Not to run after them. No, a copy of the law to Jacob and his seed. And Abraham.
No doubt. It says of your brethren. He's talking to Moses. He said of your brothers is this prophet coming. Exactly. That's the 12 out of the 12 tribes of Israel. That has nothing to do with the Arabs.
Exactly. That make Ishmael a cousin.
All right, we in Joshua 63, verse 6 to 8.
Right. 6.
The book of Joshua, chapter 63, verse 6. Therefore, all Egypt began from that day forth to embitter the lives of the sons of Jacob and to afflict them with all manner of hard labor, because they had not known their ancestors who had delivered them in the days of the famine.
And when that happened, Joseph had, the Pharaoh had a dream, and Joseph interpreted for him. And since then, he set Joseph on high. He was second or third in command at the time. And, he was ruling. He helped the land during the famine. And he helped the surrounding lands and brought commerce to Egypt. Egypt was the center of trade, when we was there.
Like the USA is today.
Exactly.
And that's why the pyramids on the back of your dollar bill.
And
So
you wonder why.
what we reading is a parallel of what went down.
Absolutely.
So, but again, that was one dark-skinned nation oppressing another.
Exactly.
So again, you know the whole white man, the devil thing. You'd have been calling Egyptians the devil back then.
Shoot, what was
Black
Judas?
man.
What was Judas?
Right, one of our people.
One of ours. No, ain't a color thing. What spirit is that person dealing with?
Verse 7. And this was also from the Lord, for the children of Israel to benefit them in their latter days, in order that all the children of Israel might know the Lord, their God.
Exactly. Same thing. We was engaged to the Most High during this period. He told Abraham, look, your descendants, I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to give them this land. Same thing with the Most High. You don't just rush into a marriage. You watch, who you dealing with. Same thing with the Most High.
Court system.
It's courting. See what you get yourself into. He was watching this for our benefit, that we may know him. Otherwise, we would have been murmuring more than we did.
Verse 8. And in order to know the signs and mighty wonders which the Lord would do in Egypt on account of his people Israel, in order that the children of Israel might fear the Lord God of their ancestors and walk in all his ways.
How many of them?
All his ways, they and their seed after them, all the days.
Next, we're going to the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 6 to 14.
Exodus chapter 1.
Anybody got any questions? Don't be afraid to ask. It's for your edification. You can pass this light on.
Bible study.
What's them two scripts that they mentioned book of Joshua?
Joshua.
And 1 Samuel.
You got it.
Sorry, 2 Samuel.
Joshua 10:13, 2 Samuel 1:18.
Right.
Two witnesses on the book of Joshua spoken of in the Bible.
One asking a question, the other one tell.
You see all throughout the Bible, it's not the rest of the acts of David mentioned in the book of Nathan.
Right.
In the book of Edo. All there's many books of scripture, there's so many books out there that if everything was compiled about Christ, the world couldn't hold it.
The word itself can contain the records. That's what the scriptures say. That's John 21 for you. John 21 verse 25 I was looking for. That if everything was written down about Christ, about everything that was happening, the word wouldn't be able to contain the books.
That's right.
125.
John chapter 21 verse 25. And there are also many other things which Yahushua Jesus did, the which if they should be written every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. So be.
Right.
Exodus chapter 1, have a look at y'all.
Verse 6.
Verse 6.
Book of Exodus, meaning departure.
Exactly.
That was John 21, right?
Yeah, verse
All
25.
right, this is going to parallel with what you heard in the book of Joshua.
Right. Exodus chapter 1, verse 6.
Yeah.
And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation.
They died. Where did they die?
In Egypt.
They died in Egypt. Okay.
And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty. And the land was filled with them.
And I guarantee you, wherever we went captive, wherever we was captive at, they always feared that we multiplied, we exceeded them. Always.
Even
Even this nation. That's why they got the birth control. That's why they got the abortion. The number one killer for our people is abortion.
Right.
So, bro,
That's sad to know.
so bro, when you say multiply, for some people, they basically was making offspring so much that they was afraid that they would take over.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because with our people, you're instructed to teach your children to pass it off to the shortest. But that way, even if they get rid of you, you got about 100 of me to deal with.
Right.
And also say Deuteronomy 6, teach your children's children's children.
Right.
That's a rule in warfare. This is what it is.
That's right.
Because this thing may not be over. This thing may not be over in your lifetime.
Exactly. Same thing with punishment. It continues to make it to the third or fourth generation. You know.
Well, the same thing, we've been out in Winsfield about 2 years now, it's overrunning with Israelites. Already. Way out there.
Also, to add to that,
Coming from Grand and 70 to go way out to visit in Winsfield.
also to add to that, the Most High was fulfilling his prophecy that he made with Abraham.
Exactly.
He told him he was going to make his descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky.
Right.
The prophecy was being fulfilled at this time
Absolutely.
by the Most High.
And then, you know, some people that teach you these things never happened.
Right.
There was no proof of black slaves in Egypt. But you know, we just did the research ourselves. This is an Israelite prison on the slaves in Egypt.
That's right.
I mean, on the walls of Egypt. 19th dynasty. Y'all come look at this when y'all get a chance. It says the Hebrews in the biblical period. It's contrary to popular belief that when you read about Jews and Israelites in the Bible, they are Dorothy people.
Right.
Contrary to popular belief.
You got a question?
For the archaeology, prophecy, and all. Go ahead, bro.
I don't want to say it, wait, but what's, so, good, bad.
The what? The little cross there?
Yeah,
That's an idol. That's an idol.
Because according to them, that's supposed to mean eternal life. The union between male and female, right? They're saying, well, that's actually the sign for salvation. Is it? That's what we need to be asking.
Right here? No, that's an idol.
All these are idols.
All
Like
of them.
this guy right here,
Caesar Borgia.
this copper stone right here, all these are idolatry.
Right.
Our God said we're not to make any graven images or have any gods before him. So we can't say we all worship the same God. The only way we can tell is what rules are being followed.
That's right.
We just read
Oh,
the
God,
Psalms.
how we say we all serve the same God, but you feel me? We don't play by the same rules.
Exactly. We just read the Psalms. The gods of the other nations are idols.
This right here
Silver and
also,
gold.
this right here also, y'all some more black slaves over in Egypt with yokes of iron on their neck.
That's right.
You know, some people tell you these things didn't happen, but that's not true.
Not true at all.
Slave, not. I mean, yes, African, did they have African slaves? Because, you know, I was with my mom was having a argument that she was saying that we came from Africa, and I was trying to.
Yeah, we bring them
I
back.
never down to there first, but we wasn't originally dark.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Well,
right.
just ask them a simple question. After 400 years, which nation of Africa is claiming us? Can you tell
But try.
what part of Africa we come from? Now, they'll guess, but Africans will tell you we're not them.
They will.
They call you cotton.
They will. And I will tell you to your face. To your face. My people were never slaves to anyone.
Right.
They will tell you that.
But see, what dealing with the geography, some people, you know, they're right in essence. We did get picked up out of the continent of Africa.
Right.
Lots of us did.
And Jerusalem is considered part of Africa. It was the land of Canaan. That's true. But we're not the same people as far as
We're not Hamites.
We're not Hamites.
Check this out. Right here, this is an ancient map the Hebrews took from ancient Jerusalem to the west coast of Africa. The name of this book is called Hebrewisms of West Africa, from Nile to Niger with the Jews, by Joseph J. Williams. This map right here, this is Jerusalem right here, and this is Egypt. It's like St. Louis and East St. Louis without the water. You can walk there today.
Right.
You can walk from Jerusalem to Egypt.
You don't need a boat.
So this is one of the
2 days journey.
the routes we took fleeing from the Romans in 70 AD. One of the routes was down through Egypt, Ethiopia, and started making our way west.
What's that book called?
Hebrewism of West Africa. We set up kingdoms like Timbuktu, Ghana, Mali. All those are Hebrew. Ghana is a Hebrew word.
That's right.
You don't even know that. You see that? So now we ain't saying we wasn't never on the continent of Africa. We was.
Right.
But we are not indigenous Hamites.
That's right.
Like, you know, like the high priest that lay on beds and doodle for initiation rites. We not them. We don't drink blood and none of that. Because there's many cultures on the continent of Africa.
That's right.
Why you claim Africa? What are you talking? That's a continent.
Right.
Named after an Italian. The ancient world didn't even call it Africa.
Right.
You're Africans.
Come on, let's stop playing around. What nation? We talking nation, nationality.
Right.
Higher than that, we talking spirit. What spirit is we calling on? That's what it come down to. That's up, bro.
Yeah, go back to my friend, he run track, we used to run track together. And I was telling him how everybody get to go back and compete for their country doing the so-called Olympics. I said, what country can you go back to?
In Africa.
And he said,
in Africa.
He said, well, I guess Africa. I said, but nobody competes for a continent.
Right.
Yeah, you can compete for Ethiopia, you can compete for from Nigeria. Who you gonna go back and who gonna claim you and say, oh yeah, he's our people, come on, yeah, come compete for us.
No matter how great we are, I mean, wouldn't you think you want to claim that person? They good.
You think it's good to do all they want, claim.
That's right. That's right.
Right. But I did show LeBron James. Right. According to Deuteronomy 20:64, some of our people are there. But as far as us being Hamites, no, we Hamites.
And they know it. They know it.
Let's get this script with
I was saying, another topic that came up, and I was just trying to hit my mother on that. She was talking about Obama when I told her he was what, Camite? Hamite. His father was from Kenya. But what was his mother from? Actually, they discussed like what was his mother? Was
from
she
Kansas.
She also
From Esau.
His mama was so-called Caucasian. But he's the father of a Kenyan. So how is he us?
Absolutely.
Numbers 1:18, when you see about father.
I mean, his wife is, but I mean, you know what it is.
Right.
Read that Ham though, out the Bible dictionary. Noah had three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Right.
Ham is the father. So I'm gonna tell you who Ham is the father of. Right in there. Where you at?
What we got?
This is Ham, out the Zondervan Bible Dictionary.
Exodus 1 is
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races,
Right.
Father of the dark race.
not the Negroes.
But who?
It says
But
not. It says
the-
not. It says not the Negroes.
Right.
So a big misconception we have as people today is that all black people are one people.
And to know that they so bold to put it in a dictionary, that's a smack.
That lets you know they know who you are. You don't just sitting out of Ham. Then who are you? Who are you then?
Read that again, brother.
He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes,
That's beautiful.
but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites.
Those are your 4 families of indigenous people of Africa, if you want to call them that. They're called Hamites biblically. It was never called Africa. You know what is Africa today?
Right.
Never called Africa.
But
So
not
for a
the
man
Negro.
for a man to call himself an African, he's really naming himself after Leo, Skippy, he's Africanus. So if that's your father, then maybe you are African. Or American, Amerigo Vespucci, another Italian explorer. So if that's your father, maybe you are African American. But that's not nationality, that's continents.
Right.
But then you would say, I'm black, that's the color of the crayons.
Exactly.
Everybody else names nation. Who are you?
Right.
Well, according to the prophecy, you are the children of Israel.
Right.
God's chosen people.
That's right.
So, but see, the thing is, we want to kick against that.
That's right.
Who else so hell-bent against not knowing who they are? Hell-bent against
Because it comes with a
Can't be us.
responsibility. It comes with a responsibility. You're supposed to be out here getting it. Out here, helping your people.
right.
Spiritually.
Who won't say cherry Kool-Aid, but keep calling it what?
Red.
Red.
What flavor is that? Red. All right, let's get this.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
So it's more of them and they stronger. We got a problem. Keep reading.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
Don't trip off that. This is not like you people actually thinking the Bible is a religious book. That's more political than anything.
That's right.
They like another nation is in the midst of us.
That's right.
And they gonna overtake us if we don't do something about that. See, because the Bible been in the hands of the theologians, people think this is religious. It's more political and spiritual than it is religious. It ain't got to do with religion.
That's right.
With history in there too.
Nothing to do. That's straight political right there. That's the king of the most powerful nation on the earth saying, hey, we don't do something about these Hebrews and do some type of population control, birth control.
Right.
They gonna overtake us.
Right.
They gonna join with our enemies and overtake us. So God forbid that we want to put them down.
And they've been fearing that.
Again, y'all, one dark-skinned nation over another. You can't even pull that with you. You in a late in the game phenomenon now. That's all you know is the white man. Now that's late in the game.
Right.
Going back in history,
Right.
all the nations that had problems with each other was dark skinned.
That's right.
The air.
Everybody got what they call melanin, the secret key. I think people had melanin and was banging against each other.
That's right.
Right. Don't let nobody tell you just because you move to another area of the world that your skin color gonna change. The Eskimos been up north for a long,
They still
long
don't.
time.
That's right.
They still don't. They color ain't changed. What's up with that?
And all the Hawaiians.
Right.
All the
Right.
Filipinos. The islanders. Verse 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burden.
Overseer, sound familiar?
Exactly. And usually when they do that, it's one of our own foes because we don't prefer nobody else of another nation really. Same thing it was in this nation. The white man got
Y'all seen Django? Samuel L. Jackson. Whoa.
got the toughest black dude they can find to set over all the others. For real.
And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
Right, just like today, right? Yeah. Think about it, more crack, more guns, and you still have more babies.
Right.
They came up with AIDS for us and everything, Tuskegee, syphilis, and we still multiply.
That's
Didn't
right.
change nothing.
So the book is parallel to who was talking about. See that? Same thing going on today with us. Everything they came out with, crack, CIA,
That's right.
cocaine in the 80s.
That's right.
Brothers got Russian Kalashnikov choppers in their basement. You ain't never been to Russia?
No.
How you get that?
Right.
What customs agent over that?
Right.
They got a shipment of Russian AKs.
That's right.
So they put all this stuff amongst us for us to kill ourselves, and we still.
Absolutely.
It's
And
a-
they giving those off.
No, sorry.
And they giving those off. They got race-specific weapons. They can target a whole race of people without nobody else dying. When I read that, I was amazed.
Y'all hear what you said? Race specific weapon.
They can target a whole race. Just think about a race.
That's right. And understand this, y'all. The only reason they do get it off is because we don't know the law of our God. Which teaches us just because they put it there don't mean you have to touch it.
Exactly.
Same way like y'all look at bake car. I don't care cause it's sitting in front right out back in the Sears building. Brand new thing with the keys and it's running. Go open. Radio on the station we listen to. That mean get in and okay.
Just slide down, should not steal, you to put me. Abandon that.
Right, because how pleasant is the ride gonna be? Keep looking in the rearview mirror. Every time the popos get behind.
Right.
Wondering if he know I'm the one that stole it. And then hear them doors lock automatic. You know what it is.
on
Where
that
you
guns-
going next to the gate of the kingdom.
On that gun situation, your brother was talking about, it's a movie called Lord of War.
That's right.
That really hits you about how the guns get into our communities, whatever, how they sell it and all that stuff.
Say that's a movie?
Yeah, it's called Lord of War. Yeah.
Verse 12. But the more.
Got a second witness to what
Wait,
you
go
were
ahead.
saying.
What you got?
All right, this is the second witness to what Daniel was saying.
Come on out.
Proverbs chapter 9, verse 17. 17 and 18.
You got to get it.
Yeah.
Proverbs 9 and 17.
17 and 18.
17 and 18. All right. Stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant.
You thought you got away with it though.
But he knoweth not that the dead are there, and that her guests are in the deeps of hell, in the depths of hell.
So you thought you got away with it. That little Kool-Aid that little Kool-Aid packet you didn't took.
Right. The mother stolen water. That's sweet. See you done. Then they get it. Verse 12. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
Hard bondage.
And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar, and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. And their service, and all their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor.
All right, let's see that.
And you also look like in the book of Jasher, it'll explain when it breaks down how hard that was. But they say the tribe of Levi never participated in that hard labor because when Pharaoh and them brought it, they brought it as a rule. They tricked them into the labor camps and into the field. But Levi kind of backed off of that, so Levi never participated in that servitude like all the other 11 tribes did that was there.
Right. All right, for you newcomers, our topic at hand is while in captivity. I know we tend to focus a lot down here about post-captivity when we return home and how pleasant and how sweet things would be. But we got to get there first.
That's right.
So we got to live wisely while we're in the land of our captive. All right?
Still
All
right.
right. No, that's it. That's Acts chapter 7,
Acts chapter 7.
verse 6 through 15.
Y'all stop us at any time, y'all, if there's anything that you don't understand or something that's flying over your head, call us on it.
Right.
And until you can say amen comfortably, that you can say, I can go teach this to somebody else and I'm comfortable with it. I'm persuaded in my own mind, not in our mind, but you persuaded in your own mind by the scripture, not by these brothers sitting up here at the table.
Right. Because we'll never leave room for you to say, oh, that brother down there told us this.
That's right.
We'll tell you exactly where it's at so you can be able to defend what you believe, what you stand on.
That's right. Acts chapter 7, verse 6. And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land.
Didn't we just read that back in Genesis?
Right. And that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years. And the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, saith God.
Right.
And after that they shall come forth and serve me in this place. And he gave him the covenant of circumcision. And so Abraham begot Isaac and circumcised him on the 8th day. And Isaac begot Jacob. And Jacob begot the 12 patriarchs.
Or the 12 tribes of Israel.
And the patriarchs moved with envy, sold Joseph into Egypt, but God was with him.
Oh, yeah. Our father made him a robe of many colors. And, you know, that light skin with that many color robe, it kind of got to us.
Right.
We got jealous real quick. Should have seen the Egyptians was just cutting some fruit in the kitchen and he walked past and they just cut themselves.
I have a question. So when did the 400 years begin?
400 years.
You got it?
Yeah, 400 years began soon as we went into captivity officially, like when Joseph was there. He first told Abraham 430 years before he fulfilled it. So it started when Joseph went there.
Right. Well,
When he was sold there. I mean, it wasn't hard bondage for 400 years like it is now.
Absolutely.
It was a foreshadow, like Christ always foreshadowed. His holy days foreshadow what's coming.
It started, and what Brod's saying is what we can call a physical yoke around your neck. But it started with the covenant of Abraham. That started because the promise was to the land of Canaan. Yeah. So the whole war right there was to grab this plot of land. So that's when the covenant first started. And when you count the time of Abraham up until the first time we walked in Egypt was like 215 years or so. And then we did another 215 years of hard labor, which added up to 430 total.
So you count the time when we was...
Right, like you count the time, just like now, you count the time. But see, when we came to America, it flipped. We started in slavery, and then about 200 or so, and then we were so-called free, which we really not. Right. But so now we're doing the remainder of that in the lives that we live today. We really ain't on no plantations, but we 14% of this nation but yet we 80% of the penal population, and on probation, and on parole. So still being only this much of this nation, you this much of the jail population. And America has the highest jail population on planet Earth. So when everybody see this nation, they say, who you got in captivity? You got a whole nation of people in captivity because 80% of your jail population is this 14% of your whole nation.
So slavery ain't went nowhere.
It went nowhere.
There's more brothers locked up today than was picked with cotton.
That's right.
Since 1850.
That's right.
That's a straight statistic right there. So you can't say this private corporate the slavery ain't went nowhere. It's still there.
Right.
Still there.
So it's only been a total of 400 years since we were in Egypt.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, 1555 when we arrived here on these
Oh,
shores.
she asked about Egypt. She said about it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
1619 to the middle pass.
Right.
Officially.
So we was in Egypt in 1619?
No,
We're in this Egypt. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, I'm confused, sorry.
Okay.
Right, Egypt is Canaan. Understand that it's the land of Canaan, how we look at it when Abraham gave the promise. So at that time, that's where the count starts. At Abraham taking that covenant with the Most High we just read in Genesis 12. That starts the first. So all we have to do is get what that time period is called. You know, if you Google it, the time period when Abraham received the covenant. You get that, and then you count his years up to Isaac. Then you count Isaac's years up to Jacob, right? And then you count Jacob going into Egypt. He was 17 years old. No, he wasn't 17 years old. Joseph was 17 years old when he went into Egypt. Jacob came, he was this certain age. And when you add all of those numbers up, it gives you the numbers outside of Egypt. And then it gives you the number how long we served inside of Egypt. And when you combine them two, it's 430 years. Which is actually, it's also the time that we were espoused to the Most High, or our engagement process before we got married. That engagement was 430 years. And then we got married at Mount Sinai.
And it started when he told Abraham, I will make you a mighty nation, and took him out of that land.
That's right.
Which was 430 years before he actually fulfilled the covenant.
Right.
We wasn't in hard bondage only for over 200 years in Egypt. A little over 200 years. This is our hard bondage now.
Right, and the Most High never
For 400
does
years.
things in whole numbers. So when he say 400 years, it won't go past 500 years. Just like the ninth hour that we pray on. Starts at 3 o'clock to 3:59 and 59 seconds. That's considered the whole ninth hour. So he does anything like this. We ain't been for 500 years.
Exactly.
And it's got to be mirror image just like the other one. So the only thing, like I said, we're on the tail end of it, just like the doctrine today. They're faith believers first, and then they catch up with the law. Back then, we were law believers and trying to catch up with faith.
Right. It's just the exact opposite. Like the preachers of today, all right, they pump faith, pump faith, pump faith. You know, but where's the works?
That's right.
The Pharisees back then pump works, but where's the faith? So it's just flip-flop.
Ball of confusion. That's what it is. Temptation.
That's right.
Ball of confusion. Babylon. That's what Babylon means. Babylon. Confusion. Everything turned upside down.
That's right.
You know, topsy-turvy.
Exodus 12:40 talks about Exodus 12:40 talks about the 430 years. That's
right.
We live in the land.
Verse 8 again. Acts chapter 7, verse 8. And he gave him the covenant of circumcision. And so Abraham begot Isaac. So that's where your counter starts. And circumcised him on the 8th day. And Isaac begot Jacob. And Jacob begot the 12 tribes. And the patriarchs, moved with envy, sold Joseph into Egypt. But God was with him and delivered him out of all his affliction, and gave him favor and wisdom in the sight of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
See, even in captivity, the Most High will give you favor. You know, keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. Follow his laws and his judgments. You know, he was in prison. You know, he was locked up for a long time. The Most High still showed him favor.
And he made him governor over Egypt and all his house. So always, wherever we're in captivity, we always been elevated to second in command. Basically, we run the thing.
Right.
But it's just like, you know, you just really still a straw boss. You ain't got no weight, really. You know, so You know, we've been that way every kingdom we've been in. Daniel was in Babylon. You elevate this high. You don't elevate against above the kingdom, because we have to understand the Most High set them up. If we elevate above them, then we don't need the Most High, because we're going to be running things short.
And then
we
it gonna
don't
be
set up
captivity.
above kingdoms and put us in it and then have us to the point we're like, oh, we can take them in a little while.
You think you can overthrow us?
Right. You think you can take this nation? We already low on bullets. How long we use, we shot at what we had. How you gonna deal with this powerhouse?
Like we were saying earlier, they giving AKs away now.
Right.
And that you know their weaponry done far exceeded what you think going on out the street.
Right. What you think they got now?
They don't need
They
that.
hold out.
Right.
They got satellites, they got drones and all. They fighting wars with remote control planes now. Terror drones.
Ain't got to move from their computer.
Right. And
That's
understand this, y'all. Let me say this right quickly. There's two types of what we call house Negroes. There's the Samuel Jackson and Django, and Reuben was in, not Reuben, Dathan, that Reubenite who was in Egypt, that where they would sell out their own mama to please the Pharaoh. And then you got the wise men of Israel that's maneuvering and making moves for the children of Israel to keep us from being wiped off the planet, just like Esther was in the time of Mordecai and all those guys when they wanted to put us to death in back in Persia.
Yeah.
You know, so and just like Moses rose up through there and knew all of the ins and outs, you know, of how to deal with Egypt.
Right.
The Most High always put us in there to understand their wise, their wisdom, because there's, and we need to see that too so that we don't fear it. You know, a lot of us are fear because they got a nuclear weapon, but we dealing with something greater than nuclear weapons.
Flat out.
Right. Most I always put us in positions and position us in such a way that, you know, we still know their knowledge, but we don't forsake the Most High.
That's right.
He's always done that. Shoot, Joseph went to all the little Egyptian schools. He knew they had the magic and all that. Same thing with Moses. He put his staff down and turned to a snake. It ate up the other magician snakes.
Right.
So he knew about all that. We ain't got to fear that stuff.
That's right. Wait, let me keep going.
Yeah.
Verse 12.
To 15.
Verse 11. I'm sorry. Now there came a dearth over all the land of Egypt and Canaan, and great affliction, and our fathers found no substance. So we see it all over what we call Africa. It's Canaan and Egypt. So it still got us in our 430 years. But when Jacob heard that there was corn in Egypt, he sent out our fathers first. And at the second time, Joseph was made known to his brother. And Joseph's kindred was made known unto Pharaoh. Then sent Joseph and called his father Jacob to him, and all his kindred, 75 souls. 75, right. That's right. So Jacob went down into Egypt and died. He
Where he
and
died?
our fathers.
Where he died?
In Egypt.
In Egypt, in captivity.
That's right.
He died in the land of his captors.
That's right.
Okay.
And we were carried over into Shechem and laid in the sepulchre that Abraham bought for a sum of money of the sons of Emor, the father of Shechem. And they're saying, you know, that's just saying we carried Jacob out when we come out of Egypt. We took his body with us. You know, his bones, I should say.
They looking for Joseph now. Who you think Joseph is? Joseph. Exactly.
Never found his bones.
He in the tomb of Nod.
Still looking for him. All right. So next we're going to go to Deuteronomy 28.
It's down there. What we gonna do, Deuteronomy 28? What
Verse 36 and 37. And I recommend everybody read Deuteronomy 28. You know, it's a sweet and bitter chapter.
That's right.
The Most High always prepare plan B, you know, just in case you fall off.
In that order, too.
So you know how you'll hear like people try to like, I know no one knows, but you know you'll have some churches or some religions or whatever try to predict when the end. So do they try to figure out these 430 years in
Yeah, that's
captivity?
that's what people tripping at. Because Christ told you no man know the day or the hour.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The world's supposed to end, the Mayan calendar proved to be a fluke.
That's
The
right.
world's supposed to end on December 21st.
That's right.
And before then, 2011, a couple times, you feel me? So men really trip when they start date setting. It's trying to catch him. Most High dwells in a realm that he ain't rushing for nobody.
That's right.
Like, he ain't got, that's why he got forever.
That's
But
right.
that is where they get that from, is trying to figure out the dates and the
But man, for all that time to do it. It was some cats out in New York said the world was going to end in 2000.
Right.
Why you feel?
Exactly.
In 2013 years past that.
That's right.
You heard me? So again, men be wanting to look wise, start date setting. You heard me? Then you know, and then you paying your tithes out and all that, and people be thinking they must be man of God.
Right.
That's right.
Now they
but,
would
then,
imagine
but then when that date don't come to pass, the people get their money back.
That's right. And the other thing was that date was based also on the birth of Christ, which no man knows. So that's where their confusion is at. They trying to figure out when exactly was he born, and they ain't got a clue. They know they in a 2-year range. They can kind of understand them things. But when Christ was exactly born, because of the situation, it wasn't for us to know. He said, I'm going to give you signs to know. So his people don't be caught short. He ain't going to never leave us naked like that, where, you know, we're caught unawares. He's going to lay it out, and he's been laying it out. We just got to know what our eyes just need to say. Like, bro, say all the time, you look out your eyes, you will see. You know?
Got your eyes.
Like that's just in a sense, like if everybody, it is like a knowing, everybody knows that judgment day is coming.
Absolutely.
Everybody, regardless of if you believe in God, if you don't, whatever religion, everyone knows
That is
judgment day is coming.
Yeah.
So if a person over here, like everybody know that they can play with your mind and keep scaring you and keep scaring you and keep scaring you, like this gonna come, this gonna come. We got these facts over some phoniest facts. This day gonna come, they get you scared or whatnot.
They try to, but
your
it
feelings or whatnot, like okay, believing in them, what's gonna go spend your money? That's gonna produce some money, as well as gonna produce some fur and tactics or whatever. You're gonna believe in some false religion.
I mean,
even
even
some false ideology. That's basically what religion is, some false ideology. Some man's mindset like her. Come do what I say do. Come follow, they using, pimping, the most I word. Now come follow me. Basically the middleman. The most I the one that's really supposed to get the credit, he ain't getting it. You want all the credit. That's basically.
So you can be called the honor.
Exactly.
Most abominable. Right. You can be called.
That's what they call it.
Now it's puffing up.
right. And even if they knew when the world was gonna end, like everybody thought the world was gonna end because of the Mayan calendar, what was they out there doing?
Stanky leg.
Did nothing change?
Talking about repent.
Did nothing change? That's right.
And so it don't even matter. Right? If had you known the hour and the date, you still would have been left field. Right? So Revelations where you say men don't be seeing these signs and wonders and still not gonna repent. You live right through.
Noah preached for 120 years, told them,
120 years.
I like how brothers say, if a man knew today we'd be getting it tattooed on our back, you know what I mean, on our shirt, you know what I'm saying? We'll go crazy.
It's like 12 o'clock midnight tonight, 11:59 and 59 seconds. Man, what time is it?
But he does give us signs to see, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but these things are going down. Nobody is paying attention.
Right, let's go.
Waters are turning red. Over 100 earthquakes a day. Birds falling out of the sky. The signs are happening. You still, we twiddling our thumbs like,
Playing
you know,
Xbox.
we got forever. I might hit Powerball, but and it ain't set up there.
They hit the electronic currency.
So they try to, like, the scientists and all that, they try to find a reason why this stuff is
Yeah,
happening to
yeah,
fool
they do.
people.
Yeah.
But it's really the signs that the Most High said are going to happen.
Check this out. Check this out. Either this is revelations coming to pass. Rivers that ain't even connected to each other turning blood red, right? Or this is what they saying. Algae blood. I mean, what you gonna read? I mean, what you gonna believe? I mean, we can't force our mindset on everybody anyway. So it come down to your own personal, what you gonna call? I mean, come on now, Revelation 2,000 years ago, Revelation of Christ. Giant waters will be turning red, earthquakes die, what do you call it? Right. Now you gonna say, well, you know, the heathen has a computer machine called the harp.
Right.
I mean, if that's the explanation that suffices your conscience, then so be it. But me, it's like, hey, it said this is happening, these things happen. Where we
So
gonna
it
go
seems
on?
like the heart and stuff like that is really not real.
I mean,
it's real, but what we're talking about is Satan had that power on Job 1 chapter. He was allowed to send storms and throw Job's house down. That wasn't the Lord that did that to Job. Satan
He allowed them.
He allowed them.
So when Christ rebuked the storm, who you think was the storm was raising up against to have Peter and them scared? That's Lucifer trying to shake him in. He rebuked. That's what they say. Even the storms and the winds obey him. Satan has been given limited power to do certain
Limited.
at the request of the Most High.
He's not a loose cannon.
No,
Right.
not a
He's
loose
around
cannon.
here just doing whatever he wants.
Right.
Read the book of Job. He even bound.
That's right.
Satan got rules. He said you can do this, that, and the third to Job. Don't kill him and take his life.
That's right.
So he still got bounds that he taking orders.
And I need
He got bounds that he can't cross.
That's right.
And Isaiah 45:7 tell you the Most High, He the creator of all things, good and evil.
So he's allowed it, but see the reason he's allowed it.
Right.
And he tells you because they have forsaken the commandment. They have forsaken the ordinance that I gave them to live by. So I'm going to allow them to do it. Second witness. We know that the Most High put us in slavery.
That's right.
Did he come off his throne and throw us in slavery?
No.
No, he allowed a certain nation to come and shackle us.
The Lord should.
So, but who sanctioned it though?
Right.
That's what we talking about.
Yeah.
See, the people got a problem with how he gets stuff done.
all power gotta go to the Most High. If you a king, you're gonna send your servants out. You're not gonna get off your throne. You're not gonna get off your throne and go yourself. You're gonna send your servants out. Go get this work done.
Let's get
Same
it.
thing with the Most High. You got a question? You got a question?
Second, me and my brother, my younger brother, was debating, was having a little debate the other day, because, in school, they still teach that Charles Darwin theory that he saw prominence, and I was trying to explain him that you see the prominence in the zoos, they've been there for a while. You
Right.
see
Evolution
what's
keep
development
going.
on them, so
Right.
the fact that they keep still, teaching this child in school, it really falls on the parents to really try to, this is really what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Go tell your brother he denounced all that on his deathbed.
You hear that?
All of
Charles Darwin denounced all
All
his
of
beliefs they teaching our babies.
He seen
on
that
his
light.
deathbed.
He seen that light when he was about to die, and he said, "Look, I made all that up.
You just
He is
said,
God."
you just said, you know the judgment coming. Your soul know that. And they still teach this man's theories in his classroom today, and he renounced all his
He
beliefs.
renounced it.
I made it
He
all.
renounced it.
And not only
That's what
this,
they do.
But the Most High said because of that foolish wisdom that come out, foolish wisdom explains itself, just like truth don't need our help. Truth is an absolute. And foolish wisdom is what foolish wisdom is. It'll explain itself. If they say you evolved from a monkey, then somewhere between that time there should be a half you and a half monkey. Somewhere through its evolution, like a tadpole turns into a frog. You can find a half frog and half tadpole to dive through all their archaeology. They ain't pulled up no half a monkey man and half. They talk about Bigfoot, but ain't nobody seen it.
When I had up to biology, when I had a biology class and we were talking about evolution, and I was just saying like I believe in creationism, and the teacher was saying that we are still evolving, but it just takes so many millions of years. We would sit in our time, and then her example was that how children really don't grow wisdom teeth anymore. So she was like, that's an evolution right there. Where back in the day we had such and such, but now we don't need them anymore. So it's kind of like
We don't need what anymore.
They're comparing you coming from a monkey to wisdom teeth.
Right.
that was her argument. Like it's kind of like natural selection. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't need these things anymore, so you don't have to. She was saying like that's a form of that Darwin theory. But I mean, I don't believe it, but that's the argument. Because like when you say, why don't we see these changes? And they'll say it takes thousands of years.
The Most High deal with us and what we see in front of us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There ain't really no secret chemistry equation you got to know to understand the Most High. He deal with us right in front of us.
Right.
If we evolve from monkeys, there should be no more monkeys.
No,
Right.
period. At all. Right.
It shouldn't be nothing like that.
Right.
Right. Like ain't no more cavemen. Right. They say we came from them. Where they at?
Or even what they call the Big Bang theory. Right. So next 4th of your life, go outside and see what's created out of all that Big Bang.
Right.
No structure. Nothing is created out of a thing.
Right.
I don't see how they believe
An explosion.
an endless amount of matter and energy was pre-existing, but they don't believe in the Most High.
Right.
I don't see that.
Like I say, all you do is just keep living, and they'll struggle to explain the wonders of God. You know, they'll make up excuses like this algae blood, but then
Right.
they can't explain that how did algae blood be created into this area, because it, according to their science, it takes this algae with this algae to create this blood, and it ain't found in the river.
Ain't never
and then they algae is
Why?
what we still work on.
Why isn't
right
that
now.
a previously occurring situation? Why haven't that been going on?
But y'all, we can get into that all day, but it's just like going to the moon and all of the whole other thing. They just had it in the Daily Mail yesterday how they blew up the desert to make it look like the surface of the moon. Oh, y'all still trying to cover your tracks. This was in the Daily Mail yesterday. And it looks exact mirror image of the shot they had took of the moon. So we know they filmed that on the desert.
They were
Ain't no atmosphere.
Who filmed the shuttle landing?
Right.
Who was already outside filming it landing?
Right.
The flag waving.
When Neil Armstrong
They
said
say
it's
it's
on the moon.
128 degrees below zero. You can't even land in Antarctica, the coldest place. They just showed it in the paper yesterday, this part of Russia. 51 degrees below zero. And it's people living there, but ice is everywhere. Now add 300 more degrees of minus on that. You ain't got no clothes for that here. But you think you gonna fool us with a thin suit up there. And the sun is 500 degrees Fahrenheit up there because there's no atmosphere. There's nothing to block the heat.
Cold
It's
and
raw
hot at
heat.
the same time.
Then how to film this film?
Right. Film melts at 150. Film melts at 150 degrees.
Let's go to Deuteronomy. We're going to Deuteronomy 28.
You had a question?
Even if they could prove that it's an algae bloom, which they can't, who's to say that that ain't the most high? That ain't the most high making one turn.
Right.
Like the algae got more power than the most high.
Right.
The most high don't control the algae.
That's right. Go ahead,
Come
bro.
on, let's get to Deuteronomy 28.
Oh, man.
Right. Deuteronomy